morning, good afternoon, whatever. I don't know what time you're watching this video, Rise, but thank you so much for being here for Lunch with Gina. You know, our series lately has been talking about what we're looking forward to on Martha's Vineyard, that very magical place that many of us go to. And as you know, Rise MV18 is next week, and we have Sisters on the Rise. We have Brunch with Beach, and today I have my co-host of Sisters on the Rise, Dr. LaShonda Catrice Barnett. Hi, LaShonda.
Hello. Happy to be here. Happy to be here as in Edgartown, where I am seated and just had wonderful brunch at the Ashley Inn on Edgartown's Main Street. And so I'm in the lovely eating space. It's a beautiful old craftsman's house. It's really quite lovely. Very happy to be here.
Yeah, so you're on the Vineyard. I leave on Sunday, so I can't wait to join up with you. And I'm super excited about Sisters on the Rise. It's and I'm so honored that once again, because we did something together last year on the Vineyard. So it's good to have you.
The brand new Edgartown Library, which was fabulous.
Yes.
And that was 2017. And then in 2016, we had the amazing poolside reading of jam and that amazing meal that was catered by, what was her brother's name?
Edgartown Diner guy.
Yeah, the Edgartown Diner chef. Yeah, that was amazing. That was amazing.
Mm-hmm. So last year we took that from the Parker's house poolside to the Winnetou. And so that's going to be on the 10th, but on the 9th, we're going to be at the YMCA, you and I, and a whole bunch of other amazing sisters, independent school moms, single women, LGBTQ, cisgender, students, independent school students, college students, boomers to Gen Z. We are all connected as women of color, and we want to be there to celebrate one another. We want to be there to empower and to to have some wellness going on. I just want to share this with you. So I've been running around the city. See this box?
What's Gina?
This is the Genie box, and we have 2 of these donated by the Genie box girls. And I'm not even going to open this. We're going to wait till we get there. But there's some really amazing goodies in here, and we have some other cool swag bag stuff. We have a food for the soul nutrition station. We have a glow station that's all about beauty. We have an affirmation station. We're going to be doing open mic. We're going to be doing so many things. So we're excited. And you are our mistress of ceremonies because you're just that dynamic. And I wanted to ask you, why do you think it's important, particularly on the Vineyard? And I know you have a fondness for the Vineyard. That's your space. That's where you write. And
I think that everybody in their right mind. Let me just cut you off for a second.
Okay, go ahead. Come in.
I think that everybody in their right mind who visits this special island would have a special place in their heart for the Vineyard, because there's no other place like it in the United States of America. This is a place where you get to see African American achievement on parade all the time.
Yeah.
And historically, this has been the truth. This has been the case for over 200 years. You can't really say that about any other location. I mean, the concentration, I'm talking about the concentration of, and I don't mean wealth. And I think that's what people who don't know any better, I think they gravitate towards that. I think that they've caught some things in the air, in the wind or whatever, and they think, that's I can't go there, or I don't belong there. And that's where people who have lots of money rub elbows together or whatever. That is a germ of the truth that has been blown up and distorted into rumor, and maybe some people have perpetuated the rumor because they like to think of themselves as that, but that's not really the truth of what Black culture is on the Vineyard. What is concentrated here is a very beautiful energy, an energy that is rooted in pride and love, and people who've held on to their familial homes, come hell or high water, didn't necessarily do it because it was Massachusetts real estate. They did it for love of their ancestors. Yeah. And we need not get that twisted. And I think people get that twisted. that so-and-so, that house has been in the family for 7 generations. Yes, that's familial love. And people like to, many people in this nation, I think, are sort of invested, and it makes me very sad, invested in dehumanizing African Americans. So rather than look at, oh, isn't that wonderful? Shouldn't we celebrate that there are all these people in a concentrated area who are really trying to hold on to family property, family homes, family wealth, because property does translate into wealth, but holding on to it for a sense of spiritual lineage, right? Rather than have that conversation, it becomes a conversation of, oh, that's where the bougie Black folk hang out. And I'm just not down with that. I certainly do not come from money. And I love to tell people, my chest is poked out when I say this. I finished my first historical novel here, Jam on the Vine, which was loosely inspired by an ancestor, Ida B. Wells Barnett, and other Black women journalists in the press. I finished it here on Main Street, here in Edgartown. My entree to Martha's Vineyard, if one needs an entree, is not about my relatives who are working class people who had money here or who used to vacation here in August, but about my craft, about my intellect, about my excellence, the excellence of my writing. That brought me here, that compelled me to the island. And then I kept coming back because of invitations from that book. So the Vineyard is an open door for people. It's not about money. It's an open door for people who practice a craft, who practice political activism, who are stellar professors. I mean, the people I know here, the people who have embraced me are artists, they're musicians, they're painters, they are journalists, they are professors from places like Columbia and Harvard and all over. So it's concentrated with a love, with craft, with intellect, with success. And that's what I mean by African American achievement on parade. I don't mean anything petty. I mean that the people who are walking around here are hard workers and have put themselves, have put their work on the line, front and center. And that achievement is on parade. You're walking down the street, you see
That's spoke out. It's so true. The spirit is so strong on the Vineyard.
Last year, I'm walking up Circuit. I saw Steph Curry. Was it last year, year before? All the summers blend together. But you know how that feels. You don't feel that anywhere. You don't feel that in Hollywood. And I'm not interested in Hollywood anyway. But you don't feel that. You don't feel what I'm talking about, the kind of hard work. I've sat with these people's books, and these people have shaped my thinking. They shaped how I feel about activism. To bump into those people, without needing to be invited to a who's who party. It's not.
Right. That's how I bumped into Angela Davis twice. 2 years in a row I bumped into Angela, and that second time I had the courage to say, can I take a picture with you? She said, you got that camera ready? I got things to do.
That's what I love about it. It's not that you need to be on the list. There's certainly lots of wonderful parties, but you don't have to go to those parties to become a part of the fabric here. You can be chilling at the Inkwell Beach and meet someone, and that's
absolutely
very, very special.
Yeah. That connection is very strong as you walk down the street, and we honor and recognize one another, and that's what I love about the Vineyard too. We acknowledge one another on a daily basis. Hey sis, hey brother, strike up conversations. You meet people from all over, and like you, the Vineyard, part of my family's history, but I keep coming back, and I bring RIISE there as we're building bridges between families of color and the culture of independent schools. I bring us there because we're there, many of us, to have some deeper conversations around equity and an inclusion in education, but to also recognize and to acknowledge one another. So Sistas on the RIISE, tell me why you think it's so critical for us as women of color, in particular Black women, to celebrate, acknowledge, and practice wellness.
Well, there are two reasons. Number one, number 45, who resides at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, the advent of this 45th presidency has brought out of the grave ghosts that we thought we had seen the last of. Ghosts of oppression, I like to call them. A very tenacious racism that's sophisticated, homophobia, genderism, ageism, sexism. I think we were sort of walking around as a culture, especially during Barack's beautiful 8 years, we were walking around thinking that we had beat a lot of that back. We weren't completely, we had the memory of it, and as long as you have the memory, it's still with you. But we were feeling pretty proud as a nation of how far we've come. What is so devastating about the last, couple of years is to experience the fact that we are not as far as we thought we were. Anytime you have a group of white men marching with tiki torch lamps from Home Depot on Charlottesville, intentionally to remind the nation, to remind anybody who's got a television on, of the Ku Klux Klan and the White Camellia, another white vigilante group that existed in the 19th century. Anytime you have people giving their energy to efforts like this, it is an indication that not only is the society sort of stuck in a rut, but that there are lots of people who would like to see us reverse the hands of time. And that's scary. And an event like Sistas on the Rise, the first thing that came to my mind, Gina, when you invited me to do this, and I'm so grateful for you to be doing this, because you always do, but you really, I'm happy to say that you really still have your finger on the pulse of humanity, and on Black humanity. And that's hard to do when your community is under siege, when your community is being hunted, when your community is being pursued. It's hard to stay the course. And so I thank you for staying the course. We need you. We need an event like Sistas on the Rise so sincerely. We need this because women were the matrix. Black women are the matrix, literally and metaphorically. You know, that story was penned by a Black woman and they stole it from her, but that's a whole other story. She won the case. But anyway, we are the matrix. We are the bedrock. We are the foundation and the firmament. And people, children, and our partners, be they male partners or female partners, they rely on us to shore them up in moments of difficulty. But if you yourself are running low, how can you shore up yourself, let alone somebody else? So an event like Sistas on the Rise, which as soon as you started articulating it for me, I thought of it as you holding up a golden mirror, holding up a mirror to allow these beautiful, very powerful, very strong reflections of Black women to bounce back, for us to feed ourselves literally. And then as you explained the flow of the evening the other night, and you talked a little bit about the walk,
the pose, pop and pose station.
Here we go. The pop and pose, it reminds me of this metaphor I have in my brain for the event of the golden mirror, falling in love with the God that is in you.
Yes.
You're not supposed to worship God in other people's images. And so you worship, you love, you have self-love. And we need that to be reflected back onto us and into our communities. And I think that's the primary reason to celebrate this event, that you're giving us the opportunity to do this. We're going to need it. We're going into another fall, and fall is the time of harvest. But things are getting rough, and they're about to get rougher. And if you are not reaping a lot this fall, and many won't because of where we are socio-politically, if this autumn is not a big season for you of reaping, you need to know that you still carry abundance.
Yeah.
Abundance is a special word, and it is a word that people in marginalized communities don't often get to hear. And so this is a beautiful reminder in August, before September comes, before the harvest moon of September is in our sky. You know, this is a wonderful reminder that don't be confused about all this madness that's going on around you. You and your community have the capacity for abundance. Remember that. You're putting us in touch with that, Gina, which is marvelous. The second thing I want to say is you just mentioned equity. And I love that you did not use the word equality. People get the words confused. And I spent some time teaching about this past spring at the University of Illinois in Chicago and at DePaul University. So equality, of course, is this idea that there is all of this equal opportunity for everybody, for men, for women, for blacks, for whites. And we like to think of our nation sort of being a bastion of equality for everybody, equality running over. And maybe that's true. I think that very many people have worked hard. There's been a lot of bloodshed. Black folks for sure, Latino people, white people. We've got many white allies. There's been a lot of bloodshed, a lot of people incarcerated unjustly in the name of equality. However, the fight really hasn't galvanized yet for equity. And equity is a different understanding. Equity isn't just, okay, I have the opportunity for the job. Equity shows up in the percentages. It's one thing if Leroy and Lakeisha get interviewed and we can pat ourselves on the back and say, oh yes, this is an equal opportunity. This is what it says at the end of job applications. Mm-hmm. Doesn't say anything about equity on these job applications, mind you, but proudly boast, equal opportunity employer. Well, just because you call Lakeisha and Leroy in for the job, if you had no intention on hiring them, then we've got a problem when it comes to equity. Equity is about a fight for real opportunity, getting the job, getting the grant, getting the scholarship, having the door opened and being allowed to fully step in and embody that space. And so I'm thankful for all of the work that happened in the name of equality. But now in 2018, Gina, you're right on it. We need to really up our game when it comes to equity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Equity is about commitment, not just opportunity, but commitment to allow people to follow through and to manifest their vision, their passion, their work.
Mm-hmm. And this event, and I'm so happy that you talked about this event preparing us for the harvest that's coming in the fall, you know, being able to reap it. And if that is being stagnated, we are still short up to say, you know, we are abundant, we are enough, and we can, you know, we can be resilient and get back out there and get on our hustle and get out there and be part of our communities making change on a local level, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the only way to deal with this 45 situation. So we have to continue to be strong as women of color, as Black women, but we have to feed ourselves.
We do. And I was, you know, it's very hard. This is unfortunately a very deep stripe in the tapestry of American culture. There's a way in which victims become victimized, you know, just day in and day out. So the communities that are the most disfranchised historically and contemporaneously are also the communities who have less resources outside of themselves. We ourselves are a resource, but less infrastructure that they can tap for resources. And yet you're right, Gina, we have to sort of constantly be building ourselves up. Privilege, of course, is when you can go somewhere and be built up by other people.
Yes.
When you walk into a space and you are not an anomaly, the privilege is you belong there. Well, of course, you know, we've got a seat for you, you know, at the table because your mama was here, your daddy was here, your grandparents were here, and seeing you and seeing the you know, the color of your skin, it's no surprise that you would be here. I make a way for myself wherever I go, but as a Black woman with natural hair, and even when I had my hair blown out and it was bone straight, I would still enter certain spaces, and the look of surprise is hard to be, it's hard to be disguised. Certain people can't help it. And it saddens me to think that in 2018 we're still here. But yes, that's why we need events like Sisters on the Rise, because when you don't have lots of infrastructure, or when you don't have that sort of societal expectation that you belong where you are, then you're fighting against something. There's a resistance always, and people get tired of resisting, and sometimes you lose things, and you lose opportunity. You lose the energy to be able to follow through on a creative impulse because you're spending so much time resisting, and that's sad. I hope we can mourn that for a minute. Actually, when we come together,
and we will
mourn, not just our communities. We lose people, but we also lose opportunity. And that's sad. And we lose genius. We lose gifts. And that's unfortunate, mainly because of a system that has been put in place that requires that we resist for our very livelihood.
Well, here's the thing. Part of what we're going to do is mindfulness. So we have a mindfulness practitioner that will be with us. And we're going to do some movement. We're going to do some belly dancing too. So we're going to take care of ourselves. We're going to acknowledge one another. We're going to have fun. We're going to eat food for the soul. And then folks get to leave with a sister swag bag with a whole bunch of goodies. And maybe one of y'all folks might win one of the 2 genie boxes that is pretty heavy and it's all sorts of goodies inside. So I cannot wait to get on island to see you. I'm going to call you as soon as I get on island. We will be together Thursday for sure at Sisters on the Rise at the YMCA, Martha's Vineyard, Vineyard, Haven, Oaks Bluff, however you want to slice and dice that little special section of the island, between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. More information down at the bottom, everyone. So thank you for joining us. Thanks for taking some time on your Vineyard Day.
Thank you so much for having the vision for this, Gina. I think it's going to be fabulous. And I don't know when you're putting this up, but I just want to sort of also throw out that if people are already on the island, the 3rd and the 4th at the Oak Bluffs Library, there's a wonderful African and African American cultural festival happening. Starting today, actually. But then the 3rd and the 4th also, yes.
Yeah, I'll just miss it on the 5th, but we're posting this today. So thanks for sharing that. Thanks for sharing that. Enjoy it. I love you, LaShonda.
I love you too, my dear. Thank you.
Okay.
This is going to be amazing.
It is. Okay, enjoy the rest of your day. Bye. Bye.